They'll greet you with warm smiles while secretly preparing blades in the shadows. Not out of necessity, but simply because the opportunity exists. In this environment, betrayal is never random. It's calculated. Individuals will observe your habits, imitate your generosity, and reflect your drive just sufficiently to gain proximity. Once they've extracted everything useful, they either disappear or, even worse, transform you into a platform for their own advancement. You've experienced that sudden sting when a person you relied on turned your faithfulness into a tool against you. That hollow quiet when those you supported refused to stand by you in return. This isn't misfortune, it's the authentic nature of existence. The majority aren't designed to elevate others. They're wired to rival, to seize, to outsmart. Direct attacks aren't always their method. Certain types will cheer as you suffer. Others will treat your suffering as a spectacle. The instant you drop your guard and reveal vulnerability, they label you as easy prey. Believing that moral uprightness alone will shield you is a mistake. Society doesn't honor innocence. It examines it, twists it, and ultimately monetizes it. You were raised to be polite, yet the system grooms its victors to be calculating. You were instructed that truthfulness is admirable, but honor without authority is a grave. You were advised to pardon everyone, yet absolution without limits invites repeated treachery. The purpose of this presentation isn't fairness, it's intelligence. It's about grasping the true mechanics of influence and recognizing why those who ascend aren't necessarily the most gifted or ethical. They're the ones who comprehend the hidden dynamics. That's the role Machiavelli plays. His insights were never intended to soothe. They were forged for endurance. For individuals navigating a reality where deception comes with grins and ruin arrives wrapped in allure. To endure in such a space, to surpass it, goodness alone won't suffice. You must remain vigilant, detached, tactical, immovable. Here, I'll present 7 principles inspired by Machiavelli that will fortify your thinking and hone your reflexes. These are mental armaments, instruments for persistence. They'll disturb the fragile and rouse the ready. If you've endured disloyalty, deception, or dismissal, consider this your pivotal moment. Because once you absorb what follows, you won't merely become more resilient to harm, you'll be beyond anyone's grasp. Let's start. Rule 1. Dominate your public persona without mercy. How others perceive you outweighs actual reality. Machiavelli stated, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." This wasn't a caution, it was equipment. In our society, your outward impression carries greater weight than your inner truth. Most never probe beyond the exterior, and when they do, they perceive what suits their expectations, not the facts. That's why your persona demands construction with the accuracy of a blade, not for trickery, but for safeguarding. You might possess wisdom, strength, and threat, yet if you project ordinariness, you'll be handled as expendable. That's precisely when they attack. Your persona isn't ornamentation, it's concealment, it's shielding, it's diversion. When others think they've decoded you, their scrutiny relaxes. And during that lapse, you advance. Cease revealing your complete intentions. In chess, strategies aren't declared. They're used to lure, confuse, ensnare. Your exterior must form a story you direct, a diversion, a shield separating your essence from their assumptions. The less visible your authentic self, the more impregnable you grow. Avoid justifying yourself. Any justification creates a vulnerability in your defenses. The second you rationalize choices to those beneath your caliber, you open a doorway to your thoughts. Allow their judgments. Permit their rumors. Their chatter serves as your shield. Never plead for comprehension. Reality doesn't prize honesty. It prizes deception. Craft yours with sharpness, intent, precision. Avoid being the most vocal in any setting. Become the least decipherable. Maintain their uncertainty while you implement. Let them view you as basic while you develop intricacy. Openness is a snare. It's an indulgence you can't permit. The more they understand, the simpler it becomes to anticipate, influence, or dominate you. Even your benevolence, unmanaged, can be turned against you. Safeguard your inner layers. Shield your feelings. Communicate sparingly. Project serenity. Observe extensively. If they choose to undervalue you, excellent. Permit it. The wolf doesn't correct the sheep for calling it harmless. It simply bides its time. Now place this affirmation in the comments. I dictate what they perceive. I disclose only what I select. Rule 2. Never depend on allegiance. Construct influence instead. Allegiance feels pleasant until it collapses. It seems secure until it fractures. The common error is viewing allegiance as a connection. It isn't. It's an agreement in disappearing ink, vanishing the instant convenience ends. Individuals aren't devoted to you. They're devoted to their requirements. And when those requirements shift, their devotion follows. Expect that. You've likely witnessed it. Those who vowed eternal commitment evaporate when discomfort arises. Those you supported at personal expense won't glance back when it inconveniences them. That's not disloyalty. That's instinct. No need to mourn it. Adaptation is required. Influence is allegiance evolved. While allegiance relies on faith, influence relies on strength. Strength endures when feelings fluctuate. It persists. It maintains. It directs. You don't request retention. You ensure departure carries excessive cost. That's authentic strength. Machiavelli expressed it plainly. The vow made was a requirement of yesterday. The vow broken is a requirement of today. People act based on current demands. They'll pledge anything when requiring you and violate everything when they don't. Cease pursuing allegiance. Begin gathering influence. Understand their drives. Understand their flaws. Understand their dependencies, fears, goals. Avoid exploiting unless essential, but never overlook them. That's your authority. That's your safeguard. Bonds are delicate. Tactics are not. Genuine ties can persist, but never without limits, never without vigilance. Extend allegiance only where consistently proven, and even then maintain safeguards. Individuals remain in partnerships, positions, coalitions not from devotion, but because exiting costs more than staying. That's influence's effect. It renders devotion rational, not sentimental. You grow irreplaceable, risky to oppose, unforgettable. Authority doesn't demand overt control. It demands steady, quiet pressure. Gentle cues that disloyalty carries repercussions. Silent knowledge that you possess levers they prefer untouched. That's your security. Now place this affirmation in the comments. Allegiance is voluntary. Influence is enduring. Rule 3. Remain perpetually ahead by 2 moves. Prioritize tactics over feelings. If they can provoke you, they can confine you. The instant emotion drives your actions. You surrender your greatest asset, command. Feelings aren't inherently negative, but unmanaged, they're hazardous. Reality ignores your emotions. It reacts to your actions. And if those actions are hasty, responsive, or noisy, you're not participating. You're being manipulated. Tactical individuals don't mirror common responses. They detect trends, monitor responses, prepare departures before issues emerge. They view every utterance as information, every pause as indication, every slight as revelation. Because they grasp this principle. The one who maintains composure dictates the rhythm. The one who dictates the rhythm dictates the result. Most exist in response mode. They retaliate when offended. They pursue resolution after deceit. They protect their reputation to irrelevant parties. True strategists avoid emotional snares. They allow chaos to fade while advancing quietly. Machiavelli cautioned early. A man who wants to act virtuously in every way necessarily comes to grief among so many who are not virtuous. In essence, playing honestly in a dishonest arena makes you not honorable. You're oblivious. Tactics aren't brutality, they're lucidity. Ruthlessness isn't required to prevail, but preparedness for it is. Staying 2 moves ahead ensures no surprises. You've mapped your retreat before their statement ends. You've anticipated deceit and accepted it. Victory comes via vigilance, not sentiment. Avoid broadcasting intentions, avoid publicizing progress, permit underestimation while you surpass silently. When deception occurs, record it. When outbursts happen, analyze exposed vulnerabilities. When provocation attempts, note their lack of command. Don't rage when identities reveal. Utilize it. Transform truth into armament. Forecast sequences, and continue advancing quietly. Now state in comments, I don't respond. I compute. I outflank. Rule 4. Authority is seized, not granted. Seek nothing, direct everything. Authority arrives not to waiters but to actors. Hoping respect comes from effort or virtue already eliminates you. Reality functions on supremacy, not equity. Supremacy isn't always boisterous or forceful. It's aura, it's assurance, it's subdued certainty prompting adaptation. Entering any space, no one cedes your position. Claim it or remain unseen. Speak with resolve or remain unheard. Humanity responds to potency, not clamor, not passion, but command. Waiting for consent diminishes you. Seeking acknowledgement erodes influence. Authority concerns placement, not endorsement. If disrespect occurs and you ignore it, you permit it. If value is dismissed and you over-justify, you validate their view. Don't articulate worth. Demonstrate it unapologetically, instantly. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." This doesn't demand cruelty. It means likability insufficient. Respect stems from fear of loss. Fear isn't solely intimidation. It's immovability. It's clarity that violation carries cost. Your aura demands deference, not via violence, but via irrefutable self-mastery. Don't request spatial respect, claim it. Don't await table invitation, overturn it. Construct yours and force observation. Embody the type who never states, "I'm valuable." Every aspect proves it. Every action reminds, approval isn't needed to proceed. Validation isn't required to guide. Crowns aren't awaited. They're forged via outcomes, endurance, subdued potency exceeding any label. Place this affirmation in comments. I claim what's mine. I don't plead, I construct. Rule 5. Conceal your suffering. Never expose blood to predators. When injured, scrutiny intensifies. They don't approach to aid. They approach to gauge wound depth because revealed frailty signals. Predators constantly monitor that signal. Publicly, they'll nod, extend false empathy, claim availability. Privately, they'll weaponize that data against your vulnerabilities. That's the arena. Participate or be exploited. Your suffering is holy, yours alone, not tender for false comforters. Vulnerability isn't owed, it's privilege. Privileges are earned, not distributed to charming pretenders. Displaying scars in unfit spaces provides destruction blueprints. Conceal them. Recover privately, reflect alone. Project steel regardless of internal fractures. Machiavelli never stated it outright, but embodied it. Leaders can't afford apparent frailty. He observed men lose all not from frailty, but from appearing frail. Perception kills. Once damage is believed, your liability. Authority and sympathy can't coexist. Pity eliminates fear. Without fear, they trample while feigning care. This isn't emotionlessness, it's mastery. Humanity needn't be entombed, just not served to devourers. Vulnerability holds worth when precise, not when uncontrolled. Share narratives post-mastery, not mid-tear. Remain publicly unbreakable. Even internally shattered, avoid online collapses. Avoid broadcasting struggles to unproven parties. Silence isn't frailty, it's sagacity. It maintains danger, it maintains impregnability. Place this affirmation in comments. My suffering is strength. My quiet is might. Rule 6. Harness others' cravings for command. Logic doesn't sway people, craving does. Facts, truth, outcomes mean nothing without desire alignment. Quickest control path isn't force, but core drive comprehension. Their profound yearning becomes tether. Identifying pursuits, attention, authority, wealth, endorsement, affirmation, grants guidance without force. Manipulation needn't be forceful, subtlety suffices. Offer desire glimpse, sufficient for taste. Then instill access routes through you. That's command, appears as chance. People pursue choice illusion, but menu designer already prevails. Machiavelli. Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. Today adds image, ego, seen needed admired sensation. Utilize it. Recognition thrivers receive sparse praise, maintaining approval addiction. Power cravers position near but outside. 1 inch from target, controls optimum. Threats unnecessary for devotion. Reward/removal capacity suffices. Awareness triggers orbiting, no pursuit, no demands. Guidance via propositions, not commands. Strongest influence is unseen, quiet, psychological. They'll believe self-directed, yet every action follows your desire framework. Mastery evident then. Employ allure, focus, quiet, entry, their cravings. Suspend, mold, arm. Puppet ignores strings. Place this affirmation in comments. I direct results via desire direction. Rule 7. Avoid excessive utility or accessibility. Rarity breeds regard. Greater visibility diminishes worth. Harsh reality most deny. Constant presence, excess giving, universal availability, expecting devotion or affection, yields expectations. Availability breeds permanence assumption. Assumption halts presence respect. Words ignored, worth unseen. You become ambient, dependable, substitutable, unseen. Worst, you taught that perception, not from lack of value, but over accessibility. Constant presence equals commonality. Commonality isn't revered, only earned rarity. What vanishes? Machiavelli. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. All men have eyes, but few have the gift of penetration intentions. Value irrelevant. Over-availability deems you lesser. Reality prioritizes appearance until rarity compels substance attention. Excessive utility toolifies. Tools replaced by shinier. Cease universality. Cease universal response. Cease appearance for non-reciprocals. Generate separation. Time must be earned. Speech carries gravity, not volume, but rarity. Coldness unnecessary, intentionality required, presence when critical, retreat before permanence assumed, absence louder than presence. Silence from you sparks construction curiosity, invisibility felt, mystery elevates, silence tension builds, limited presence reminds potency. Reality won't adapt, won't halt for suffering, won't honor truth or guard devotion. It tests, deceives, lies, then denies. That's existence. Cease fairness expectation to gain authority. You comprehend the arena. Seen subsurface, deceptions, maneuvers, quiet conflicts behind false grins, hollow vows. Knowledge step 1. Application defines identity. Not here for popularity, Here to persist, surpass, dominate precisely, quietly. Victors adapt, not justice seek in unjust world. Lucidity edge, serenity shield, command armament. Remember, perception authority, endurance strategy dependent, not sympathy. Remain perilous, remain impregnable. Your turn. If resonant, don't nod scroll. Engage, like, subscribe, bell, channel prepares, not comforts. Mental combat taught, not motivation. Strategy trained, not positivity preached. Unstoppability goal, not feel good. Illusion stripped, manipulation decoded, thinking honed until unusable. Done being exploited. This your arena. Remain. Each video fortifies. Stronger, wiser, cooler, mentally perilous, emotionally impervious, socially impregnable. Welcome opposite side. Continue constructing. Hold on. Before you keep scrolling, let me pose a question that will forever alter your worldview. Do you truly believe that virtue shields you? That compassion guarantees safety? That open-handedness inspires devotion? That truthfulness commands admiration? If you nodded to any of these, you've swallowed the most perilous myth society ever sold. The gravest error is assuming that virtue equals protection. In reality, virtue acts like wildfire. It consumes everything you've constructed. Your bonds, your profession, your aspirations. Niccolo Machiavelli observed this firsthand. He watched benevolent rulers collapse, generous souls betrayed by those they aided, and he documented every lesson. Today, I'll reveal his concealed insight, the staggering price of virtue that remains unspoken. In the coming minutes, you'll discover why your virtue is actually rendering you fragile, why others don't honor your compassion. They manipulate it, and above all, how to convert virtue from your biggest liability into your strongest asset. Let me be explicit. I'm not urging you to turn cruel or to harm anyone. I'm teaching you to practice virtue intentionally, not recklessly. Because in a realm packed with predators, playing the lamb ensures you're devoured. Leave this declaration below. I choose intentional virtue. From this moment forward, everything shifts. We'll explore why virtue doesn't always safeguard you. In fact, it frequently ruins you, and precisely how to forge it into genuine authority. 1. Virtue as vulnerability. Picture the most compassionate individual you know. Are they genuinely admired, or are they the go-to person whenever someone needs a favor? The reality is, consistent compassion makes you foreseeable. Others realize you won't push back, won't refuse, won't resist being shoved around because you're too gentle to react. You become the workplace mat, the buddy who always covers the bill, the relative who never declines assistance even when it drains you. I once knew an outstanding team leader. He constantly supported his staff, covered their mistakes, prioritized their welfare. What was the outcome? Someone else got the promotion. Why? Compassionate individuals don't appear as commanders. They seem like attendants. People don't revere your compassion. They exploit it. Your compassion broadcasts to the world. I can be taken for granted. Machiavelli stated, the lion cannot guard against snares, and the fox cannot fend off wolves. Therefore, one must be a fox to detect snares, and a lion to terrify wolves. You've been surviving as a lamb among predators. That's why you keep getting wounded. Comment. I safeguard my energy. 2. The generosity snare. Here's a mind-bending fact. The more you provide, the less it's valued. It sounds counterintuitive, but listen. Generosity earns immediate praise. People applaud, speak highly of you, spread word of your greatness. It feels incredible. Yet over time, a perverse shift occurs. Your open-handedness fosters reliance, entitlement, and ultimately bitterness. Help once, gratitude. Help twice, appreciation. Help 10 times, expectation. Stop, and they forget the 9 yeses. They fixate on the single no. Suddenly you're the selfish one. Consider parents who fulfill every child's wish. Initial excitement gives way to assumption. A new gadget ceases to be special. It's just standard refuse once, and the child labels them unfair. The same plays out in friendships. You always settle the tab, chauffeur everyone, assist with relocations. Early on, thanks flow. Eventually, silence need reciprocity. They're suddenly unavailable. This is the generosity snare. You give until giving defines you. The instant you pause or seek return, you're cast as the antagonist. Constant open-handedness doesn't forge allegiance. It breeds addiction. Like any addict, they rage when the supply ends. The science, hedonic adaptation. We acclimate to positives rapidly. What felt extraordinary becomes ordinary. Your repeated kindness loses impact. It fades into the background, but one refusal. It blares like an alarm. That's what they recall, discuss, resent. At work, always staying late normalizes it. Leave on time once, you're disloyal. In partnerships, always yielding sets the baseline. Stand firm once, you're difficult Machiavelli. Benefits should be bestowed gradually. Thus, they retain their flavor. Comment, I give intentionally. 3. The veil of righteousness. Society judges surfaces, not substance. People don't care about your inner goodness. They care about your outward image. To retain influence and esteem, wear the veil of righteousness while maintaining control underneath. Examine the most accomplished figures you know. Did they rise by being universally pleasant? Hardly. They rose by being shrewd about when, how, and to whom they displayed kindness. They grin publicly, decide firmly privately. They extend clemency when it benefits, demonstrate resolve when required. They grasp that the appearance of virtue outweighs virtue itself. This isn't fakery, it's timing. A surgeon cuts to heal. Cruelty? No. Necessity? True leaders sometimes appear harsh to achieve genuine good. Helping may mean refusal. Safeguarding a group may demand unpopular calls. The veil isn't deception, it's calibration. Reveal softness to allies, steel to adversaries. Machiavelli. Everyone sees what you seem to be. Few grasp what you truly are. Comment, I manage my image. 4. The economics of influence. Every action carries cost. Every favor, every reluctant yes, every minute spent aiding others instead of advancing yourself. Most virtuous people ignore this. They give until depleted, then wonder why they feel exhausted, bitter, exploited. Your time, vitality, assets are limited. Spending them on others leaves less for you. Acknowledging this isn't selfish, it's arithmetic. Unbounded kindness saps your strength. Drained, you can't aid anyone, including yourself. Airplane protocol. Secure your mask first. Why? Pass out help in another, and now 2 need rescue. Life mirrors this. Exhaust yourself for others, and you become the one requiring aid. I learned painfully. For years, I agreed to everything. Requests, favors, quick queries that consumed hours. I thought it virtuous. Result? Resentment, burnout, stalled dreams, diminished capacity to help those who truly mattered. Saying yes to all equals saying no to self. Abandon yourself, and you'll abandon everyone eventually. History's greatest givers weren't yes men. They refused most things to deliver massive yeses to the vital few. Machiavelli. He who desires obedience must know how to command. You can't command others without commanding your own resources. Comment, I guard my resources. 5. Intentional deployment of virtue. I'm not advocating heartlessness. Mercy, honesty, generosity aren't to be discarded. They must be wielded like blades, precisely at the perfect moment for maximum impact. A sword on display protects no one. In a warrior's grip at the right second, it saves empires. Aid deliberately. Show mercy calculatedly. Be generous to shape outcomes. Instead of sprinkling help everywhere, concentrate profound aid on key individuals. Instead of universal niceness, be extraordinarily kind to those who count. Instead of endless yeses, deliver powerful yeses aligned with your aims. This achieves 3 things. Your aid gains value through rarity. You generate larger positive ripples through focus. Respect grows through selectivity. History's revered leaders. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't soft on injustice. He confronted it fiercely. Mother Teresa didn't aid humanity broadly. She zeroed in on the destitute, both practiced intentional virtue for transformation, not universal approval. Before any yes, ask, does this match my principles and objectives? Can I offer this without draining myself? Will this be valued and respected? Any no triggers a polite but firm refusal. Every yes receives full commitment, maximum effort, genuine impact. Thus, your yeses resonate. Your aid is remembered. Your generosity builds loyalty, not expectation. Machiavelli. A promise made was a necessity of yesterday. A word broken is a necessity of today. Comment, I practice effective kindness. 6. The mirage of gratitude. Gratitude has an expiration. Favors, sacrifices, support. They fade from memory. Repeated aid shifts from gift to obligation. Thank you so much becomes you should becomes why didn't you? Help a neighbor move. First time, effusive thanks. Fourth time, assumption. Can't help? Betrayal. Human psychology. We adapt to positives, take them for granted. Exceptional becomes standard. The more consistently you help, the less it's prized. The more available you are, the less unique your availability. The more you give freely, the more others assume it costs you nothing. Those you aid infrequently cherish it most. Those you aid constantly treat it as baseline. This isn't malice, it's humanity. Expectations adjust to experience, set limits, make aid conditional at times. Let others feel your absence. Machiavelli. Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. Past kindness vanishes, current actions define judgment. Comment, I create enduring impact. 7. Outcomes over motives. The world evaluates results, not intentions. Purest heart means nothing without tangible success. History remembers achievers, not the well-meaning. Would you rather be recalled as pleasant but ineffective, or demanding yet transformative? Most pick the former for comfort. They miss that nice but forgotten equals erased. True virtue sometimes looks harsh momentarily. Disciplining a child teaches. Tough grading prepares. High standards forge growth. Virtue equals lasting outcomes, not fleeting comfort. Nice avoids friction, good resolves it. Nice says what's desired, good says what's required. Nice preserves status quo, good drives progress. The planet overflows with agreeable non-achievers. It needs virtuous result-getters. Machiavelli, the end justifies the means. Not evil for good, but outcomes trump intentions. People experience your actions' consequences, not your heart. Comment: I prioritize outcomes. 8. Legacy and endurance. History doesn't celebrate the merely kind. It celebrates survivors who turned results into greatness. Name 5 purely nice historical figures. Difficult. Name 5 world changers. Easy. Steve Jobs wasn't known for warmth. He was exacting, often abrasive. Yet he built tools billions use daily. Legacy demands survival first. Survival demands strategy, toughness, selectivity. The kindest can't help if crushed. The most generous can't give if emptied. Survive, thrive, leave a mark. Protect yourself to protect others. Build yourself to elevate others. Changemakers aren't pushovers. They say no, enforce boundaries, make tough calls. Virtue isn't frailty. It's power to choose kindness when it counts. Machiavelli. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Respect greater than affection. Impact greater than popularity. Results greater than feelings. Be both kind and strong. If forced to pick, choose strength. It enables meaningful kindness. Weakness, even with noble intent, breeds victimhood. You've absorbed a profound shift. You now grasp the toll of unchecked virtue. Why generosity ensnares, gratitude evaporates, intention sans results are hollow. Crucially, you know how to forge virtue into a tool of endurance and influence. Decide to persist with blind virtue until it breaks you. Or master intentional, effective, potent virtue. Your decision shapes your destiny. You now possess the wisdom to choose correctly. If this opened your eyes, hit like. Craving more paradigm-shifting truth? Subscribe plus bell. Know someone who needs this. Share. Your virtue isn't frailty. Wield it intentionally. It's your ultimate strength. Final comment. I master intentional virtue. In a world of predators, don't be prey. Be the guardian. Protect the herd through wisdom, strategy, strength. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Ever wonder why certain people command respect without effort? No one interrupts them. No one wastes their time. What sets them apart? What do they possess that you lack? Here's a truth that may upset you. Their respect doesn't come from superior intelligence, wealth, or achievement. It stems from one psychological principle you've never been taught. A principle so basic, yet transformative, that mastering it will reshape your life. Someone cuts in line, you stay silent. A friend cancels plans repeatedly, you grin and bear it. Someone steals credit for your work, you let it go. Know what you're doing? You're teaching others they can treat you poorly without consequence. But those who never face this aren't lucky. They apply a hidden truth about human nature that Machiavelli uncovered centuries ago. A truth that divides those who inspire respect from those who plead for acceptance. What if pursuing likability is weakening you? Every attempt to please everyone drains your influence. The more you seek validation, the less respect you receive. This isn't gentle advice. It's proven psychology that never fails. By the end, you'll grasp why some dominate conversations while others fade into the background. Why some are heard and others ignored. and how to become someone no one dares disrespect. Ready to stop being an afterthought and become a priority? To lock this idea into your mind and life, write in the comments below, respect over validation. 1. The hidden cost of needing to be liked. Every person who's ever dismissed, used, or undervalued you shares one insight. They sensed you needed their approval more than they needed yours. When was the last time someone respected a person desperate for their favor? Exactly. Never. Desperation is detectable. It makes you predictable. People know you'll accept insults with a smile, agree when you disagree, show up even when disrespected. Predictability makes you replaceable. The more you crave acceptance, the less people value you. Counterintuitive, but consider those you truly respect. Are they approval seekers or self-assured without your praise? We desire what's scarce and discard what's freely given. Chasing validation diminishes your worth. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." He didn't mean cruelty. Fear here means accountability. When crossing you has a price, behavior changes. Think of the most respected figures in your life. A no-nonsense teacher, a firm boss, a brutally honest friend. They don't seek your approval. They set standards and uphold them. People pleasers, meanwhile, are overlooked. When you're available to all, you're essential to none. Those who exploit your need for approval don't respect you. They pity or use you. This cycle traps millions. Believing kindness earns respect when it often invites exploitation. Respect isn't granted, it's enforced. You can't enforce anything while begging for acceptance. To lock this idea into your mind and life, write in the comments below, "I choose strength." 2. The raw power of respect. Now that you see how seeking likability undermines you, let's discuss what actually works. Respect. Not polite nods, but instinctive deference that makes people hesitate before crossing you. Respect rests on one rule: consequence. If disrespect costs something, it rarely happens. If it costs nothing, it becomes routine. Most misunderstand respect. They think it flows from talent, status, or charm. That's admiration, not respect. True respect emerges when you refuse to tolerate disrespect. When someone crosses a line and faces no reaction, you train them that mistreatment is safe, but enforce an immediate cost, loss of access, attention, or support, and they learn fast. This explains why the kindest people are often treated worst. They've signaled that poor behavior has no repercussions. Reverse this. Make your time, energy, and presence valuable. Show that disrespect has a price. Suddenly, people speak carefully, act thoughtfully, and treat you as significant. Machiavelli observed, "People treat you precisely as you permit. No better, no worse." Respect compounds. Demand it, receive it, demand more. It's a self-reinforcing cycle of influence. Unlike seeking approval, which hands others control, demanding respect keeps you in charge. Respect isn't given. It's claimed by rejecting less. The respected don't beg, explain, or lower standards. They simply refuse subpar treatment. That refusal is their power. To lock this idea into your mind and life, write in the comments below, "My value is non-negotiable." 3. The psychology of control. Every interaction is a power exchange. Who sets the tone? Who decides the outcome? If you're unaware of the dynamic, you're not in control. Approval seekers surrender control unconsciously, adjusting behavior for praise. silencing truth to avoid conflict, saying yes when meaning no. Those unswayed by opinion retain control. They speak freely, decide independently, and dictate terms. Needing approval isn't just emotional, it's strategic surrender. You've given others the remote to your mood. To keep someone happy, you'll shift opinions, hide authenticity, compromise principles. That's not connection. It's control disguised as harmony. But when you're indifferent to disapproval, manipulation fails. You can't be leveraged by praise you don't need or rejection you don't fear. Confident people aren't unbothered. They're unowned. Their worth isn't outsourced. Machiavelli. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you are. Stop performing, become unpredictable, and unpredictability is power. Breaking free yields. First, immunity to manipulation, no buttons to push. Second, clarity in decisions, prioritizing self over crowd. Third, authentic relationships. Some leave, the real ones deepen. Shift from, I hope they approve. I don't need their approval. What do they think? What do I think? I need their validation. They must earn my respect. To lock this idea into your mind and life, write in the comments below, I own my worth. 4. Approval, the silent addiction. Your need for approval isn't a quirk. It's a dependency, and savvy people exploit it. The cycle is compliment, dopamine hit. High fades. Crave more. Others learn. A sprinkle of praise buys your compliance. Need overtime? You're so dedicated. Need a favor? You're so generous. Need tolerance? You're so understanding. They weaponize your brain chemistry. You accept crumbs because you're starved for validation. Non-seekers are manipulation-proof. You can't bribe with praise someone who doesn't need it. Validation is cheap to give, costly to depend on. Anyone can say, great job. But your self-worth shouldn't hinge on endless external supply. Machiavelli. Chasing what others want you to be destroys your power. Approval addicts shapeshift. Different personas per group, opinions per audience, authenticity suppressed. The self-validated remain consistent, real, and ironically more respected and genuinely liked than any pleaser. Breaking the habit is hard. Your brain will scream. Without approval, you'll be alone. Resist. Choose self-approval over universal praise. Accept disapproval as the price of freedom. To lock this idea into your mind and life, write in the comments below, my worth comes from within. 5. Machiavellian rules to command. Respect. Practical, field-tested principles to shift from doormat to authority. Rule 1. Speak less, act more, over-explaining signals insecurity. Let actions speak, no speeches, just consequences. Machiavelli. Be the fox, strategic, and the lion, strong, as needed. Rule 2. Never chase approval. Double texting, over-explaining, or pleading repels respect. Indifference attracts it. Rule 3. Stay calm under pressure. Emotional reactions equals lost power. Cold composure equals psychological dominance. Rule 4. Remain unpredictable. Predictable equals controllable. Alternate warmth and distance. Keep them guessing. Rule 5. Enforce boundaries instantly and quietly. Swift, silent consequences, warnings or lectures. One strike, one response. To lock this idea into your mind and life, write in the comments below, I am unshakable. 6. Scarcity and distance. Power multipliers. Availability destroys value. Constant presence equals taken for granted. Scarcity creates desire. Rare access, high value. Endless access, background noise. The socially powerful aren't omnipresent. They appear selectively, leave decisively, say no freely. Strategic distance isn't cruelty, it's prioritization. Your time is finite. Treat it as gold. Practical shifts. Reply when convenient, not instantly. Accept invitations selectively. Help those who earn it. This triggers an upward cycle. Less availability, more desire, better treatment, greater selectivity. Some will leave when you're no longer easy. Let them. Real connections respect boundaries. Distance also sharpens clarity. Detached from others' emotions, you think and act with purpose. The transformation. Implement these. And first, relationships deepen. Fake ones vanish, real ones strengthen. Second, confidence becomes internal, no longer tied to external votes. Third, opportunities seek you. Truth tellers and standards keepers are rare. Fourth, stress evaporates. No more managing everyone's feelings. Fifth, freedom. From performance, from masks, from approval cycles. Machiavelli. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. Your worth isn't public opinion. It's self-defined and self-defended. This shift isn't comfortable. Old habits will pull. Negative reactions will test you. But beyond discomfort lies a version of you who commands respect silently, attracts real connection effortlessly, wields power responsibly. The world overflows with approval chasers. It starves for the self-possessed. You've faced hard truths. Most can't. That makes you different. Start now. One boundary, one calm response, one no without apology. Your future self, respected, free, complete, waits. If this video opened your eyes to how you've been giving away your power, hit that like button. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share it. And if you want more content that cuts through the noise and gives you real tools for personal power, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a thing. The journey from people pleaser to respected individual starts with one step. You just took it by watching to the end. Now take the next. Put it into action. We'll keep growing together, getting stronger, and claiming what's ours. See you in the next video. To lock this idea into your mind and life, write in the comments below, "Respect is my birthright." Pause everything. What I'm about to share could either reshape your entire existence, or you'll dismiss it and remain stuck in the same spot for the next decade. 3 days ago, I watched a man waste 20 minutes justifying himself to someone who clearly had zero regard for him, begging for validation from a person who didn't earn his energy. These men are all around us. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you see yourself in these moments. Maybe you're exhausted from being ignored, undervalued, and treated as insignificant. Your lack of confidence isn't genetic. It's programmed. You were trained to be predictable, compliant, and easy to control. But 500 years ago, one man decoded the real laws, not the polished rules society sells, but the raw mechanics of power, dominance, and achievement. His name was Machiavelli, and he authored the blueprint for becoming untouchable. We're talking about the man who enters a space and shifts the energy, who speaks once and commands silence, who draws a line and no one dares cross it. The man who cannot be pressured, manipulated, or derailed, who earns respect without asking, who operates by a different code because he functions on a higher plane. In the next few minutes, I'll deliver 8 principles that will shift you from invisible to undeniable. from pleading for respect to radiating it, from hoping things work out to engineering excellence. Warning: once you grasp these truths, ignorance is no longer an option. Once you see how real influence operates, innocence is gone. Once you become unbreakable, there's no return to fragility. Drop this in the comments. I refuse to be contained. I refuse to be halted. Ready to rise? Let's begin. Principle 1. Rebuild your inner core. Inside you live two versions. One is hesitant, over-apologetic, and approval-dependent. The other is calm, self-certain, and naturally authoritative. Every day, you either empower one or diminish the other. Every decision feeds one and starves the other. Today, we starve the weak version and strengthen the dominant one. Your weak self is the product of conditioning. Be polite when disrespected. Say sorry when innocent. Explain yourself to people who should be justifying to you. This programming began early. Parents wanted obedience. Teachers wanted order. Society wanted compliance. But compliant men don't lead. They're forgotten. Your weak self has controlled your choices your whole life. It's why you accept disrespect, why you grant endless chances, why you prioritize others over your own goals. It's why you're consuming this content instead of creating the life you claim to want. Here's what your weak self hides. Every time you tolerate poor treatment, you train people to repeat it. Every time you over-explain, you signal your standards are negotiable. Machiavelli said, "He who cannot govern himself will always serve others." Your weak self speaks in excuses. Your strong self speaks in standards. Baonia, I don't want to upset them. Strong, I don't lower my principles. Weak, maybe I'm overreacting. Strong, I saw exactly what happened, and I won't accept it. The shift isn't rage, it's strategy. When boundaries are tested, don't justify them, enforce them. When disrespected, don't seek understanding, apply consequences. When time is wasted, don't make excuses, protect it fiercely. Notice which voice drives your actions. When you apologize unnecessarily, that's weakness speaking. When you justify to someone who wronged you, that's weakness begging. Transform not with force, but with consistent choice. Strength over approval, respect over likability, influence over popularity. Your weak self will fight back. It'll remind you of people who might dislike the new you. It'll replay past failures. It'll warn that strength makes you cold. Let it scream, let it fade, let it evolve. On the other side is a man who owns his space without apology, who doesn't justify his worth to the unworthy, who doesn't plead for respect. He radiates it. Starve the weak, empower the strong, choose influence. Drop in the comments, my weak self is dying, my strong self is rising. Principle 2. Construct an impenetrable mind. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your biggest liability. Right now, it's likely a storm of reactions. Every insult stings, every failure feels fatal, every obstacle triggers panic. This mental chaos keeps you trapped. Today, we forge a fortress nothing can breach. A fortress mind doesn't react, it evaluates. Criticism? Data on the critic's character. Betrayal? Confirmation of prior suspicion and challenge? Opportunity for growth. Most men are slaves to emotion. Anger, rash choices. Hurt, weak choices. Fear, paralysis. Their feelings are wild animals dragging them off course. Your fortress mind turns emotions into intel. Anger equals boundary violated. Pain equals mask removed. Fear equals growth incoming. Stop personalizing. When someone mistreats you, they expose themselves, not your flaws. When they manipulate, they reveal desperation, not your vulnerability. Machiavelli. The wise man acts now to shape tomorrow. Expect resistance not from cynicism, but from preparation. When you anticipate obstacles, disappointment becomes routine. When you expect setbacks, success becomes a bonus. Train to see patterns, not incidents. The liar once, chronic. The gossip about others, talking about you. The disrespect when they felt safe. They'll retry if allowed. Every interaction is a lesson in human behavior. Practice emotional analysis. Anger. What boundary was crossed? Pain. What pattern emerged? Concern. What am I truly afraid of? You still feel, but feelings no longer steer. Logic drives, strategy executes, influence expands. Most men crack under pressure. You become pressure-proof. Drop in the comments, "My mind is a fortress. My thoughts are weapons." Principle 3. Master strategic silence. The loudest man is usually the weakest. He talks from anxiety, explains from doubt, argues from insecurity. You'll be the opposite. Silence is confidence in motion. When you stop over-explaining, respect grows. People stop challenging your choices. They stop pushing your limits. They treat you like someone who knows more than they do. Because you do. Your value isn't proven by words. It's assumed by restraint. You owe no one justification for your standards, boundaries, or decisions. The moment you explain to a challenger, you grant them power. Think of the most powerful people you know. Do they debate every critic? Justify every move? Never. They decide, they act. They speak only when impact is guaranteed. Machiavelli. The lion doesn't roar to prove strength. Silence breeds intrigue. People project depth onto mystery. They assume strategy. They grant influence. But when you speak, make it count. Selective words carry weight. Rare speech demands attention. Practice silence today. Accused unfairly? Observe, don't defend. Pressured for answers? Calm, no. Drama baited? Disengage. Watch them scramble. Accustomed to your reactions, they'll escalate. When none come, they either retreat or self-destruct. You win either way. Silence also shields you from regret. How many men self-sabotaged with loose words? Strategic quiet prevents that. Let others exhaust themselves with noise. You preserve energy for action. Silent men aren't feared. They're followed. Not because they intimidate, but because they're unknowable. Let them guess. Let them respect the unknown. Drop in the comments. My silence outpowers their noise. Principle 4. Turn setbacks into strength. People will let you down. Friends pick self-interest. Partners choose cash over loyalty. Trust breaks when stakes rise. This isn't negativity, it's reality. Accept it, and disappointment loses its sting. Most men shatter because they believed in fairy tales. Blind trust. Niceness equals character. When reality hits, they spiral. You'll be different, expect betrayal. Use it as fuel. Every letdown is intel. Masks off, true colors shown. Machiavelli. Men are fickle, self-serving, and changeable. The man who knows this is never blindsided. He plans for self-interest. He builds backups. Secret. Disappointment proves you're climbing. Only threats get betrayed. Wear it like armor. Respond strategically. Cut toxic. No drama. Note patterns. Strike later. Grow stronger. Become irreplaceable. Let disappointment make you sharper, not bitter. Drop in the comments. Setbacks fuel my rise. Principle 5. Silence. Critics with excellence. Weak men argue, defend, explain. Waste energy on minds that won't shift. You excel so hard criticism becomes laughable. Your results shut mouths. Your wins make doubts look dumb. Machiavelli. Overwhelm complaints with undeniable success. Focus on building, not battling. Every minute debating critics equals minute not leveling up. Let success be your comeback. When you dominate, envy replaces hate, and envy is respect in disguise. Critics will always exist. Use their words as motivation. Prove them wrong with action, not argument. Drop in the comments, I silence critics with success, not words. Principle 6. Control your reputation. First 7 seconds equals judgment. Energy, vibe, stories told behind your back. That's your rep. Don't leave it to luck, own it. Less talk equals more power. Mystery magnetizes. Don't spill your life story. Don't reveal plans to rivals. Let standards precede you. Machiavelli. Men judge by eyes, not hands. Control what they see. Enter like you own the space. Stay calm in chaos. Be consistent. Win or lose. Your actions write your legend. Distance toxic permanently. Stand firm unbreakably. Competence plus presence equals untouchable aura. Drop in the comments, I control my reputation. My presence commands respect. Principle 7. Make excellence a discipline. Excellence isn't occasional. It's daily. Invisible moments forge character. Waking early, pushing through pain, keeping promises when no one watches. Comfort kills growth. Predictable equals controllable equals forgotten. Discipline equals destiny. Machiavelli. Fortune favors the bold and disciplined. Build rituals, rise before alarm. Train when tired. Honor your word. Always. Others call you extreme. Let them. Their lazy lives will crash while yours soars. Drop in the comments. Excellence is my daily discipline. Principle 8. Become unstoppable. Everything converges here. No external force shakes your core. Criticism, noise, betrayal, expected, challenges, growth. Unstoppable equals total independence from opinions, approval, reactions. Not cold, strategic. You care but don't need. You connect but don't depend. Machiavelli. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. Self-reliance is your superpower. No permission needed, no validation required. They'll test for cracks. Find none. You've eliminated weakness, built fortresses, mastered silence, fueled on pain, hidden flaws, owned your rep, disciplined daily. You cannot be held back. You cannot be broken. You cannot be stopped. Drop in the comments. I am unstoppable. You started as one man. You finished transformed. The world will test you now. Stand firm. Claim your place. Thank you for watching. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop of power. They say, be honest, be transparent. Let people see the real you. But what they don't tell you is this. The more people know you, the easier you are to manipulate. The world doesn't reward raw truth. It exploits it. They use your words as evidence. They store your feelings as leverage. They pretend they care, but they're taking notes. Machiavelli never told you to be honest with everyone. He told you to be smart, strategic, ruthless when needed. In a world where exposure is currency, the most valuable thing you can do is protect your inner world like a fortress. What you share becomes a tool for someone else, and what you hide becomes your weapon. These 5 secrets are not random. They are your psychological armor. Keep them buried or you'll pay the price. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. What they don't know, they can't control. Number 1. Never reveal how far you're willing to go. People are obsessed with your boundaries, not because they respect them, but because they want to know how close they can get before you break. The moment you define your limits, you give them a blueprint of your control panel. You say, "I'd never cut someone off." And they slowly start to drain your energy, test your patience, and push the edge, knowing you won't walk away. You say, "I'll never retaliate no matter what." And suddenly, you become the easy target. They act with arrogance, not courage. Because you already told them you won't fight back. That's not noble. That's exposure. And in a world ruled by strategy, exposure is suicide, see? People don't fear who's kind. They fear who's unreadable. They fear the one who smiles but leaves the consequences up to imagination. That uncertainty, it messes with people's heads. It keeps them in check. But when you define your breaking point, you hand them the exact coordinates to start chipping away at your self-respect. You make their job easy. Your boundaries stop protecting you and start guiding them. So stop explaining what you would or wouldn't do. Stop giving disclaimers. Let your silence be the warning. Let your unpredictability be the answer. You don't need to threaten anyone. You don't need to tell them what happens if they cross you. That's emotional weakness disguised as communication. Real power is when they think twice before disrespecting you. Not because you've made a scene before, but because they have no idea what you're capable of. That's the kind of fear that keeps people cautious. Not terror, uncertainty. The kind that keeps their actions clean, not because they respect you, but because they fear making the wrong move. Fear of consequences they can't see is more paralyzing than 1,000 angry speeches. There's a reason Machiavelli said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves." One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. You must be the man who plays both sides. You don't look dangerous, you look thoughtful, composed, but deep inside there's a predator calculating silently, and no one knows when he'll act or how far he'll go. That's how you dominate without raising your voice. You don't show rage, you control it. You don't declare your methods, you deploy them when it matters. Never tell someone how far you're willing to go, because the truth is, even you don't fully know, and that's what makes you dangerous. Let your calm be the storm they didn't prepare for. Let your mystery be the warning that echoes louder than any threat. Because in this world, the ones who speak of their limits often become victims of them, but the ones who stay silent, they become legends of consequence. Number 2, never reveal who influences you. There's a reason people ask you who inspires you. It seems like innocent curiosity, but it's not. It's a strategic probe. They want to uncover what shapes your thoughts, because once they know who you admire, they'll study them, mimic them, or worse, use them to manipulate you. If they know what type of mind you absorb, they'll feed you versions of it that benefit them. They'll twist the voice in your head into something they control. The moment you say, "This person shaped my thinking," you become easier to predict. They start watching your next move, expecting it to mirror someone else's. And if you fall out of line, they criticize you by comparing you to the person you once praised. But your idol would never do that. They'll say, "Suddenly, your individuality is chained to someone else's shadow." That's how influence becomes a cage if you expose it. But when you keep that door locked, when no one knows who whispers in your ear, you become a mystery they can't decode. You move in silence, grow in directions they didn't expect, and evolve without permission. You become something they can't label, and people fear what they can't define. Your influences should shape you, not brand you. You don't owe anyone an explanation for who inspired your rise. The names you study, the minds you follow, they are sacred, hidden blueprints that make you dangerous. The moment you give up those names, you give up the map. And once they see your map, they know where you're headed. Worse, they'll start placing roadblocks before you arrive. Let your moves speak. Let your victories hint at influence, but never confirm it. A man who reveals his sources reveals his blueprint. A man who doesn't, he becomes a force of his own. Machiavelli once said, A wise man ought always to follow the paths beaten by great men, and to imitate those who have been supreme. And he was right, but he never said to broadcast which paths you're walking. That's where most people fail. They confuse influence with identity, and when their idols fall, so do they. You can learn from everyone and still belong to no one. That's real power. Quiet influence absorbed in silence, applied without credit. That way, if you're ever questioned, you don't owe answers. You become the original. You become the source. And here's the truth. Most people never learn. Once they can name your influences, they can imitate your power. But if they can't trace your roots, they can't replicate your tree. They see the fruit, they feel the shade, but they have no idea how deep the roots go. And that's the kind of man they fear. A man whose mind has been sharpened in the dark by voices they'll never hear. Number 3, never reveal your daily habits. Your daily habits are windows into your mind. And the moment someone sees the pattern, they start building traps. You think routines are harmless, a sign of discipline, proof that you're focused. But discipline, when exposed, becomes a roadmap. And roadmaps are made to be followed, intercepted, or hijacked. The more visible your structure is, the easier it is for people to manipulate you. You post that you run every morning at 6 o'clock. Now they know exactly where you'll be and when you're mentally locked into routine. You always check your phone late at night. Now they wait until you're tired to send messages that provoke, distract, or manipulate. The very structure you built to become stronger turns into a script they can exploit. That's not efficiency. That's vulnerability disguised as consistency. Understand this. Predictability is a weakness, especially in a world where attention is currency and distraction is a weapon. When people know your rhythm, they'll sync with it, not to support you, but to sabotage you. They'll call when you're most available. They'll argue when you're most tired. They'll show up when your guard is down. Not because they're smart, but because you gave them the code. There's a reason shadows exist. Movement without pattern, activity without trace. Your habits should be private. Your schedule should be unpredictable. You can be consistent without being obvious. Wake early today, sleep late tomorrow. Train in silence. Respond when it's least expected. Move like static. Always active, never readable. Let them try to track you and fail. Let your absence feel calculated. Let your silence feel strategic. Power comes from not being found in the same place twice. When people can't predict you, they can't prepare for you. They start guessing. They lose timing. They miscalculate. And every miscalculation they make is an advantage you gain. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does." Finally, the fool sticks to his routine out of comfort. The wise man adapts before the routine becomes a cage. Because the moment others see your pattern, they stop seeing a person, they see a machine. And machines can be hacked. Erase the trail, break the rhythm, eat at 6 today, skip it tomorrow, show up unannounced, leave without warning. Make your timing your weapon, make your inconsistency their frustration, and when they try to figure you out, let them realize they're chasing smoke. Because when no one can trace your daily rhythm, you become more than strategic. You become dangerous, unreadable, untouchable, a force without a pattern. And in the game of power, that's exactly who they fear the most. The man who never moves the same way twice. Number 4, never reveal what you've forgiven. People love to tell you that forgiveness makes you noble, that letting go makes you stronger. But the world doesn't operate on noble ideals. It operates on pressure, leverage, and perception. And when someone knows what you've forgiven, they gain all three. Think about it. The moment you make it clear that you let something slide, a lie, a betrayal, a public humiliation, They study that reaction, they clock it, not to appreciate your mercy, but to test how far they can push next time. You didn't call them out. You must be soft. You didn't retaliate. They assume you won't. Forgiveness becomes ammunition, not for you, but for them. And every time you show your tolerance, you draw the borders of your weakness. But silence is lethal. When you don't reveal what you've let go, they're left wondering, did he forgive me? Or is he just waiting? That doubt, that knowing uncertainty is far more terrifying than open anger. Because you haven't given them closure, you've left the wound open, and now every move they make is haunted by what they think you might do next. Forgiveness should be private. Not because you're bitter, but because power doesn't live in making people comfortable. It lives in making them cautious. You don't owe them emotional clarity. You don't need to prove that you've healed. Healing doesn't mean exposure, it means control. And control means never giving away the state of your internal battlefield. Let them believe you've moved on. Let them laugh thinking you've forgotten. Meanwhile, you've adjusted your approach, shifted your proximity. Watch them from a new angle. The enemy who thinks he's safe is the easiest one to neutralize, not because he's weak, but because he's off guard. Machiavelli once said, "Injuries must be inflicted all at once, so that their ill's savor may be lessened by their being tasted but once." Forgiveness in this world is the mirror image of that injury. But if you expose your forgiveness too early, if you speak it, you soften the memory of the offense. And when offenses lose their sting, they get repeated. Let the people around you live with that quiet tension. Did he let it go, or is he just biding his time? That's how you become untouchable. You don't react with noise. You don't explain. You just adjust. And when the time is right, you act. Not out of revenge, but precision. Not emotionally, but surgically. Forgive internally. Strategize externally. Never mix the two, because once they know your threshold for betrayal, they'll start walking right up to the edge. But if you hide that threshold completely, no one dares approach it. Uncertainty is control. Silence is pressure. And a man who forgives without speaking it aloud, he becomes a storm they can't predict. A reckoning they never see coming. Number 5, never reveal what you're still healing from. Pain is human. We all carry it. Some from childhood, some from betrayal. Some from battles no one else will ever understand. But in a world driven by control, manipulation, and silent warfare, pain isn't just pain, it's intel. And the moment you reveal where it lives inside you, you give people the key to your mind. You say you're still healing from abandonment. Someone will test your fear of being alone. You open up about trust issues. Someone will promise loyalty just to break it later and watch how you unravel. They don't do it because they're evil. They do it because human nature is opportunistic. When people sense weakness, they either avoid it or exploit it. And if they can't feel your wounds, they don't know how to move around you. That confusion keeps you in power. Never let them trace your pain. Once they know what hurt you, they start watching you like a specimen, testing your reactions, poking at triggers, gauging which words sting and which silences shake you. What was once your story becomes their strategy. Your vulnerability becomes their script. And you become readable, predictable, breakable. But when they don't know what damaged you, when they can't see where the cracks are, they assume there are none. That's not denial, that's defense. You don't deny your history. You just stop offering it to people who haven't earned it. You don't owe anyone a roadmap to your past, just because they ask with soft eyes. Not everyone wants to understand. Some just want leverage. Machiavelli once said, "He who builds on the people builds on mud." That includes building your healing on the sympathy, validation, or perception of others. You don't need their understanding. You don't need them to know what you've survived. You don't need their applause for walking through hell. You need one thing: silence. The kind of silence that protects you while you rebuild, that shields you while you grow sharper, stronger, colder. The kind of silence that makes your enemies guess and fear what they cannot see. Because healing is sacred. It's not theater, it's not conversation, it's war, quiet, personal war. And when you come out of it, you don't announce it. You walk back into the world as if you were never wounded to begin with. You move with the confidence of someone who built themselves in the dark and came out forged in fire. Let the world meet you when you're whole. Let them wonder what made you this calm, this collected, this unshakable. Never hand them your pain and expect protection. Hide it. Heal in silence and return as someone no one ever expected because they never saw the cracks to begin with. The world we live in thrives on noise. Everyone's talking, posting, confessing as if visibility equals power. But what they don't realize is this: the more they reveal, the easier they are to break. Every honest update, every emotional post, they're laying out the blueprint of their destruction. And while they chase validation, you've chosen a different weapon: silence. You don't speak for attention. You move in shadows because that's where real power lives. You're not unreadable because you're lost. You're unreadable because you're in control. Every unanswered question about you is a wall they can't climb. They can't predict you, can't prepare for you, can't control what they can't understand. Machiavelli understood this. He knew that strategy isn't about showing strength, it's about making people guess where it lives. That's who you've become now. A ghost in the room, a storm behind calm eyes. They'll see you smile and never know what it means. They'll hear your silence and feel pressure they can't name. They'll try to understand you and fail. That failure, that's your power. So, if this video hit something deep, if it reminded you who you are and what you're capable of, then it's time to move different, like the shadow, like the force no one saw coming. Subscribe to the channel right now. Tap the like button so others can find this too. And most importantly, keep your mouth shut and your mind sharp. From now on, you don't chase influence. You become the force that moves without being seen. The game isn't about being known. It's about being untouchable, and you are becoming unstoppable. The world doesn't reward fairness. No matter how honest you are, someone will stab you in the back. No matter how good you become, someone less deserving will steal your place. That's life. Those who accept this truth don't just survive. They dominate. There is a hidden form of intelligence that most people never develop. It isn't loud. You can't see it, but everyone feels its presence. It's born in betrayal, humiliation, and defeat. While others collapse under pain, a few turn it into unbreakable strength. This is dark intelligence, the ability to observe, listen, stay silent, and strike only when the moment is perfect. While others shout and fight, you collect information. While they explode with emotion, you calculate every move. Most play checkers. You are about to master chess. Before we continue, let me be perfectly clear. This knowledge is a shield, not a weapon. Use it to protect yourself, never to harm the innocent. The goal is to understand the game, not to become its monster. Today, you will learn the 8 psychological traits that separate those who thrive from those who merely survive. Leaders from followers, victors from victims. Drop this affirmation in the comments right now. I choose strategic intelligence over emotional reaction. Let's begin. Calculated opacity. Never let anyone see the full picture of your intentions. Reveal only what serves you. When people know just half the story, their imagination does the rest, and that imagination puts them under your control. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few understand what you truly are." The most magnetic people never explain everything. They leave gaps. They answer questions with questions. They smile instead of justifying. This is not lying. It is strategic restraint. Most people feel compelled to overshare plans, fears, and motives. They think openness builds trust. In reality, it hands over power. Mystery breeds curiosity. Curiosity breeds respect. Respect breeds influence. Next time someone asks about your plans, don't give a full report. Say something vague and change the topic. Watch how fast you become more interesting and more powerful. Adaptive persona. You are not the same person with everyone. You adjust your tone, energy, and style to match the person in front of you. Machiavelli advised princes to appear merciful, faithful, honest, humane, and religious, whether they truly were or not. This isn't being fake, it's being effective. You already do it unconsciously. You speak differently to your boss than to your best friend. Adaptive persona makes it deliberate. Study your audience. Give analytical people data, emotional people connection, practical people solutions, visionaries the big picture. Like water, you take the shape of the container without ever losing your true nature. Master this, and you can build rapport with anyone without ever compromising who you are at the core. Strategic detachment. Nothing and no one owns you. Not a job, not a relationship, not an opinion. What you are willing to lose can never control you. Machiavelli said it is better to be feared than loved, because love is fickle and fear is reliable. Detachment is not coldness, it is freedom. Most people are prisoners of their attachments, terrified of losing approval, money, status, or love. That fear makes them weak and easy to manipulate. The person who needs nothing negotiates from strength. The person who can walk away holds all the cards. Detach gradually. Stop needing to win every argument. Stop needing everyone to like you. The less you need, the more you command respect, and the clearer your thinking becomes. Silent leverage. Real power doesn't shout. It waits. When others make mistakes and expose weakness, your calm presence becomes the strongest force in the room. Instead of forcing outcomes, position yourself so people voluntarily hand you influence. Master silence in conversations. Most people rush to fill it and reveal far more than they planned. Have options you never need to mention. Become indispensable without ever asking for recognition. Patiently plant seeds today that others will water for you tomorrow. Psychological mirror. Reflect people's deepest desires and fears back to them. They will swear you speak their language and trust you completely. People don't want to be told. They want to be understood. Listen beneath the words for the unspoken need, the hidden fear, the silent dream. Then echo it back. It sounds like you're craving more recognition, or you want certainty that your effort will pay off. When someone feels truly seen, loyalty follows automatically. Once you know their core drivers, present every idea in terms they cannot resist. Pragmatic morality. You are neither saint nor devil. You are effective. The world is rarely black and white. Sometimes protecting the many requires hard choices that look cruel up close. Pure goodness can enable evil. Endless second chances can destroy teams, companies, or lives. Focus on outcomes, not appearances. Ask, what actually creates the best long-term result for the most people? Set unbreakable personal red lines, but inside those boundaries allow yourself to make the tough, necessary calls others are too soft or too scared to make. Controlled exposure. The less people know for certain, the more they assume, and assumptions are the cracks where your strategy slips through. In an age of oversharing, the person who reveals selectively becomes magnetic. Share information on your terms, at your pace, to your chosen audience. Leave deliberate curiosity gaps. Reveal strengths only when they solve someone else's problem. Once information is out, it can never be taken back. Err on the side of restraint. Outcome obsession. You don't argue to be right. You argue to win the result you want. Amateurs fight for pride. Professionals fight for outcomes. Always ask, what am I actually trying to achieve here? If proving a point hurts the goal, let it go. If looking nice weakens your position, drop the act. Measure everything by results, not effort, not intentions, not optics. Be ruthlessly efficient. Focus on the 20% of actions that deliver 80% of the impact. Stay flexible on methods, immovable on goals. You now possess the 8 traits of dark intelligence. Knowledge unused is worthless. Choose one trait that hits you hardest. For the next 7 days, practice only that one in every interaction. Watch how differently people treat you. Watch how much stronger you feel. Use this power ethically, to protect yourself and others, never to prey on the innocent. The world doesn't need more manipulators. It needs more people who cannot be manipulated. Be dangerous to underestimate. Be impossible to control. Be the person who turns pain into power. Like this video if it shifted your thinking. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more. Comment below. Which of these 8 traits do you see in the most powerful people you know? And which one will you master first? Stay sharp, stay ethical, stay unstoppable.